Hello and welcome everyone to our 41st episode of The Little Inside. My name is fortunately still Tobi, and this week we're going to have a look at how to transform harmful habits. So let's get started right after the intro. So what are harmful habits and why would we actually try to transform them? Harmful habits, I will consider any habit to be a harmful habit when it leads to short-term as well as long-term suffering and is any habit of body, speech, or mind. So for example, if you look at habits of eating, very simple. You might really like candy, sweet stuff, sugary stuff, and it tastes very good. It gives you a short-term pleasure. But it gives you long-term problems with your teeth, long-term problems with obesity, and all other kinds of ailments that arise in the body due to overconsumption of sugar or processed food or whatever. So very often the cause of harmful habits is seeking short-term pleasures, not considering the long-term harm that actually causes to ourselves. Not knowing the cause of long-term happiness, well-being and benefit, we are usually keeping ourselves locked in a cycle of short-term pleasures, or you could even say a short-term relief. Like a smoker, for example. A smoker smokes a cigarette because it gives him a certain relief. It's a short-term relief of stress and tension, yet the stress and tension that the smoker experiences being relieved are actually caused by cigarettes. So it's an additional layer of stress in our lives that we constantly need to get rid of, but we are also creating it by smoking. So it's that kind of unnecessary short-term pleasure seeking that keeps us locked in a cycle of harmful habits. So actually we're all wanting to be happy, we all want to feel good, we all want to be healthy and so forth, yet we continuously tend to do those things that create long-term harm, like climate change, higher and higher rates of obesity, lower and lower rates of attention span. You name it, we are creating it through pleasure seeking actually, and this is the cause of our harmful habits. Is one of the major causes of the harmful habits that we have. It's seeking for just only short-term gratification, short-term sense gratification, short-term pleasures. Transforming our harmful habits is at the root of spiritual training. So for example, you take all the 5 major religions, a moral conduct, what to do and what not to do is at the very root of any spiritual discipline. And not transforming our harmful habits, we're actually keeping ourselves paralyzed by our own actions, and so we become kind of stuck within ourselves. We become stuck, if you want, within our past, because we keep repeating what we did yesterday and before that and so forth in all 3 areas, in our body, in our verbalization, in our speech, and in our mind. So how should we transform these habits which create so much stress and problems within our own lives? Basically all these shoulds that we have. Well, I know I should exercise more, I should meditate more, I should do things that are good for me. All these shoulds actually, how do we create a better lifestyle? How do we transform our continuous short-term pleasure-seeking habit into something which leads to a more sustainable state of well-being and happiness? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You want to analyze all 3 areas. Your body, meaning your physical actions, your verbal actions, how you talk, both to yourself and to other people, and what you do with your mind. The emotional states that you continuously produce, the various thoughts that go through your head throughout the day, what you're contemplating, what kind of qualities you cultivate. Maybe it might be harmful qualities that we cultivate, such as anger or let's say boredom, impatience, jealousy, and so forth. all that we are continuously dwelling on within body, speech, and mind should be, first of all, analyzed and understood very clearly. We want to make like a list or write down at the end of every day, now here is how I have behaved today. This is what I did physically. Those are my physical actions. And this is what I said today, and this is what I predominantly thought about today. So you want to get an overview of actually how you function, how you work. And you don't want to do this just for one day, but you kind of want to get into the habit of observing yourself, becoming mindful of the way you act internally and within the external world. Now, once you become aware of how you are harming yourself, you want to filter out the major problems, the major issues. Let's say, for example, you are an anger type personality and you predominantly look at the world in terms of dislike. Yeah, I don't like my neighbor, I don't like climate change, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this group of people, I don't like myself. If you are this kind of aversion personality, if you have this aversion-based personality, then if that is the predominant facet of your makeup, of your personality makeup, then you want to have a look at that first. And how do you tackle it? How do you work with it? Well, it's pretty simple. It's a three-step approach. It's all about awareness, about releasing it, and then about rebuilding a habit. Well, the first step already is established, right? You're aware of your anger, of your aversion when it is there. It is of no help to be aware of your anger when it's not inside of you at that very moment. When you're sitting in a nice, comfy aircon room and you just watch a beautiful movie and you're in a very good mood, and then you start to contemplate that you're in other times quite an angry person, it doesn't help. You need to contemplate it when the anger is hot, when it has just arisen. Then you want to kind of take a stance and look at that anger, become aware of your anger. Notice how it feels like, particularly in the body. That's what I usually do. I get out of the realm of thinking, the fuel of anger, and I get into the feeling state of anger, just receiving it as it feels. I notice it as an energy that runs through the body in this very moment. In the beginning, of course, that is not easy, but with practice and with time, it becomes easier and easier, like anything in life, really. So that's the first step, awareness. The second step then is releasing. So awareness of anger, just noticing that you're angry, is not enough. You need to drop it. You need to let go of it. You need to understand that it is just an energy. It is impermanent. It doesn't really belong to you. You're not the creator of it, and you're not the one that destroys that energy. It is simply a condition that passes through your being like wind passing through space. And the third step, finally, after having released the anger, after having relaxed it away, you can say, then you want to rebuild something that opposes anger. For example, kindness. Kindness is the antidote to anger. And kindness you can build by understanding the other person, understanding yourself. Well, it's all right to have that anger. It's okay to be angry. I'm a human being. And so anger is part of my makeup. Of course, we all have it. Then you release it and you rebuild it with kindness. This kindness, first of all, you want to forgive yourself and the other person. Understand that we are just human beings and we all try very hard to be happy. And then based upon that, extend towards the wish that may we be happy, may I be happy, may that person, the initial object of my anger, also experience happiness and well-being. So, as I said before, it requires practice, it requires time, it requires continuous repetition, so you can get good at this. But there is nothing that would be more worthwhile, right? If you're really cultivating yourself, you're working on your heart, you're allowing yourself to become more expansive, more spacious, more happy in return, you're living a life that is truly well lived. All in all, it boils down to letting go of just only looking for short-term sense gratification, short-term pleasures, and start to consider long-term benefit and happiness, and then start to consider the actions that you need to take to create long-term benefit and happiness. In the realm of the mind, what do I need to do to create long-term benefit and happiness, an inner sense of well-being and ease? What do I need to do now to get started on that path? In the realm of speech, what do I need to do? What do I need to say, both to myself and other people, to create long-term benefit and happiness? It's all about abandoning negative habits of speech, like talking badly about others behind their back, and creating the opposite, positive speech, talking good about yourself, talking good about others, talking in a way that is uplifting both to yourself and all others around you. So that later on you don't have to worry about lies that you have built up and whether people are keeping their mouths shut or not. You have a sense of freedom and a sense of there's no remorse, no regrets about what you've said. So words are incredibly important. So we should consider how we use them for establishing long-term happiness and well-being. And finally, our physical actions. How do we use our body today, right now in this very moment? How am I using my body to create long-term well-being and happiness, both within my own body, my own health, and within other people's bodies, helping them to be more healthy, helping them to lead in the physical realm a better life, and so forth? What can you do in all three areas? The most important area of all those three is, of course, the mind, because everything that you say and everything that you do arises, first of all, in the mind. When some people hear, oh, now I need to let go of short-term pleasures, now that's it, I cannot watch any movies anymore, I can't eat my favorite food anymore, and I can't listen to music anymore, oh my God. Now that's quite wrong. Actually, the way to let go is if you have something that is better, then you let go of whatever it is that is inferior. Let's say you have two options. You have a plate with, with a 2-star meal, and you have a plate with a 5-star meal, and you can choose between both of them. Of course, most people would go for the 5-star meal. They would go for the better quality. And so if you have something that makes you happier, then you would naturally renounce that thing that doesn't make you that happy, right? This is a natural process. You don't have to force yourself to renounce things that make you happy, but work on things that make you happier, so that those things that kind of fulfill you only in a mediocre way or in an inferior way naturally fall away over time. And those things that fulfill you more, that give you more pleasure, more happiness in body, speech, and mind, that those things are something that you naturally cultivate more and more. That's the correct way of renouncing. You renounce a lower happiness for a higher happiness. You shouldn't make this renouncing or letting go thing into something like, oh, now I have to be very spiritual and I have to let go of chocolate. Oh, but I like chocolate. And now you're becoming very tense. You're not serving yourself. You're not serving other beings with that tension. So relax, eat your chocolate, but work on something that's better than chocolate at the same time. So that's it for episode 41. I hope it was meaningful and good for some of you and you enjoyed it. And if you have any questions or comments, as always, feel free to write them down in the comment section below. I'm always happy to read your comments. Always happy to see that you guys are curious, you want to study, you want to know more. Let me know if there's anything that's still unclear. So for now, I'm saying bye-bye and looking forward to see you all again next Wednesday. Bye.